Hi there, welcome back to Hunt Hill at Home. I am so glad that you are here on our last day of our habitat week. We've talked about lots of different habitats, from the forest to the prairie to the bog and finally to the lake. Today we're going to be taking one last look at habitats on a really small level. So we've been looking at these huge habitats, but habitats just are places that an animal has everything that it needs to survive. So we're going to be looking at a specific habitat for a specific animal and seeing if we can make it a little bit better. Before we begin though, I'll do our joke of the day. And I couldn't find any jokes specifically about this animal we're going to redo the habitat for, but I did find a really good habitat joke in general. So here we go. So an interviewer interviewed the hippopotamuses in Egypt and asked them, "Are you concerned about habitat loss at all?" The hippo said no, but the reporter thought they're probably just in denial. If you didn't know, denial is a river in Egypt. So today we are going to do a home makeover or a habitat makeover for one of our educational animals here, which is Snickers the hissing cockroach. Now, this is like one of those home makeover videos. He has no idea that we're going to do this today, so we're going to surprise him. I'm going to go and let him know the news right now. Now, if you saw our early Hunt Hill at Home videos, you've probably met Snickers already. This is Snickers. He's a Madagascar hissing cockroach. Now, whenever you have a pet, you do need to consider their habitat, whether it's a dog or a cat, or if you have a cockroach like I do, you want to think about whether you can provide the type of habitat this animal needs. So the first thing you should always do before taking care of an animal is research what kinds of things that animal needs. Now, I did a little research on this cockroach and I found out where it came from, what sorts of environment it lives in when it's in the wild. And I found that it tends to live in very warm areas, around 70 degrees, and it likes to stay in wet, dark places and needs good shelter for it to hide so it can feel safe and secure. And it needs water that it can drink that it can't drown in. So they recommended on the place I was researching either having cricket drink, which I have right now. I can show you that. So this is cricket drink, and it's basically like Orbeez. It's a water bead type thing that absorbs the water so it can drink the water right out of these. Or it also recommended having a whole bunch of stones like this and putting the in the stones. That way the insect can't get its whole body into the water and it won't drown in the water. This is what they would find out in the wilderness, so this is what I'm going to give a try too. If it doesn't work, I'll go back to cricket drink. Now, some other things that it needs, like all animals, it needs food. Now, I researched what these guys eat, and they eat a lot of leaves, and they also eat a lot of fruits and things that have fallen to the ground. So, what I have been feeding them is some things like pieces of apple and pieces of salad, and we found that they really like dandelion leaves. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to actually grow some dandelion leaves right in its habitat so it has fresh food that it can eat anytime. I'll still be providing the things like apple pieces that I can't grow a whole apple tree in this little habitat. But That way he'll have a whole bunch of different options for food. So right now, I'm going to put him in this little thing. This is not a great habitat for him. It doesn't have all the things it needs. So any animal is going to need food, water, shelter, air. It's got the air and it's got a little bit of shelter, but it doesn't feel secure in here. And it doesn't have enough space to roam also. So we'll just keep him in here to keep him safe from any birds while I fix up his other tank. Okay, here we go. So before I put in a whole bunch of sticks and I wrapped them with these fake leaves to kind of give them a feeling of shelter. But the leaves aren't as great as real live leaves would be because you can't munch on them. So I'm going to take these out and I'm going to replace them with some live plants. I took these out of the garden. They're all dandelion leaves. And I'm hoping that they'll grow in this environment. I don't know for sure. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. I'll just try again in a different way. I also had some rocks and sticks for him to climb on. I'm going to put those back in at the very end. And then this bedding that's been in here is pretty old. And it's probably got a lot of its feces in here. So I want to make sure that I'm changing the top bedding frequently so it doesn't have to live in there for a long time with its own feces. So I'll dump this out. Now, when I'm preparing this habitat, I also have to think of this as a habitat for the plants that I'm planting in here. So, I need some dirt because plants need something for their roots to stick into. I'm going to take these dandelions. I just harvested them a few minutes ago, right before I started this. And I'm just going to stick them in here. Hopefully they'll take. I've never tried to replant dandelions before. Ooh, here's a nice big one. Here's another big one. Now these dandelions will have two parts in its habitat. It will provide some amount of food, but it's also going to provide some shelter. It'll have a place where he can crawl in and sit underneath and feel safe. It's important that any animals in your care feel safe. Alright, I think that's probably enough dandelions. We'll see if they take. Next, I'm going to put down a little bit of bedding. So this is mostly kind of mulch stuff. I'll bring it close so you can see. It's a lot of like wood pieces and a little bit of compost, but yeah, mostly wood. I'm just going to put that down so he has a nice place to sit. Okay, so we have our bedding, we have a little bit of food. Now I want another piece of shelter in here, so I got a little piece of bark that I'm just going to stick into the ground here so that he can hide underneath it. There we go. And then we need some water. So I'm going to take these rocks here and I'm going to stick them right into the ground. Like this. All right. Then I'm going to take a little water. I'm going to pour it right on top of there. Just enough so that there's water standing, but not enough that he could drown in it. Okay, and then I'll put my sticks back in here in case he wants to crawl around. Let's do one right here. That'll work. Sorry for those of you who are watching. It is windy out and the wind blew my phone over. We're almost done here. Okay. So now we've got our habitat set up. I want to double check I've got all the main ingredients. So we have air. This is an open top thing so the air can go freely through it. We have food. We have these options for food, and then I'll add some more food later. We have shelter. There's a place for it to hide and feel safe, and it's got some space. So let's put him in here and hopefully he'll like it. If I can get the container open again. Here we go. All right. I'll give you a nice good look before we head out. So, let's take a look. There we go. So he's already investigating these new leaves in his cage, seeing if they're tasty. Hopefully he'll try out his new shelter, get a sip from around the rocks, and get to roam around on the sticks. All right. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope that you think about the habitats that your pets live in and see if you can find a way to make them a little bit better. I hope you have a nice weekend, and next week I hope you join me for Hunt Hill at Home. We're going to be talking about survival and doing some survival activities. Thanks for watching. Bye.